The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. All right, thanks, Kev. Your time now is 5:02. In breaking news overnight, police are in South Bakersfield where there are reports of a standoff going on with officers. 17's Chris Burton is live at the scene on Toll House Drive. Chris, what can you tell us?
Well, Maddie, good morning. Yes, I am at the scene of a heavy police presence here in South Bakersfield. As you can see behind me, a dozen or more police vehicles are surrounding a home down here on Toll House Drive. Now, for about the last hour, police have been delivering commands to the home over a loudspeaker. Those commands seemingly directed at a single person inside the home. Police saying, "Come out with your hands in the air," and warning of a police canine deployment. Actually, they're just delivering an update right now. Police canine deployment if whoever is in the home does not comply. So obviously, this is a developing situation. We have very little information at this time, but we will stay on the scene and we will continue to deliver updates as they come. For now, live in Bakersfield, Chris Burton, 17 News.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. 5:03 is our time now, and 17 News is your local election headquarters. A historic vote was made last night by the Bakersfield City Council on the redrawing of ward boundaries.
Motion is approved. With council...
And with that, the City Council adopted Ward Map 5B, setting new ward boundaries for the next 10 years. Map 5B creates 3 new Latino majority districts and unites voters in the Sikh and Punjabi community in Ward 7. It was drawn by a grassroots activist organization called the Jakara Movement. After last night's vote, supporters celebrated outside council chambers.
This is a real big victory for the whole community. We did it with all of the communities to get together, all of our neighbors.
The new ward boundary map will go into effect in the November election. We'll have much more on this historic vote later today on 17 News and also on Kern County in depth with 17's Jim Scott.
Your time now is 5:04 in your 17 Crime Watch. Bakersfield Ward 1 Councilman Arias and Ward 7 Councilman Chris Parlier are looking to put the brakes on catalytic converter thefts. The pair crafted a bill to bolster public safety, making it a misdemeanor crime to possess detached catalytic converters without the documents to prove they belong to you.
With current laws and regulations, they actually have to catch them in the act. So what this bill would actually do, if passed, would actually enable them to hold accountable individuals who have catalytic converters without the proper documentation.
Bakersfield police say thieves nabbed more than 2,200 catalytic converters within the city of Bakersfield last year. That's up from 561 in 2020 and 179 in 2019. Arias and Parlier also want to add 2 mental health experts to BPD's 911 dispatch center, joining the behavioral health clinician the city added last year. Arias says these dispatchers can take the load off of police officers. The new public safety proposal would also boost pay for city fire and police dispatchers to match the salaries of their counterparts working in the county.
Making headlines around the state this morning, and there is new information on the Sacramento shooting rampage on Sunday that left 6 dead and 12 others wounded. Police now saying at least 5 shooters were involved. Evidence gathered at the scene points to at least 2 groups of men shooting at each other, with the possibility of more shooters being involved. Police say that it is increasingly clear that gang violence is at the center of this tragedy. Police also confirmed DeAndre and Smiley Martin, brothers who were quickly identified as suspects in this case, were together when the shooting happened, and the gun used that night belonged to Smiley. With so much potential evidence to pour through, officials say it could be weeks before Martin is charged with additional crimes. He will remain behind bars, though, until his next court date in 3 weeks.
And in the wake of that horrific shooting rampage in Sacramento, state leaders are calling for a boost in funding for community-based crime prevention programs. They're also calling for more resources for crime victims and those re-entering society after spending time behind bars. Just 2 blocks away from the scene of the mass shooting, there's now a shrine to the victims. Sacramento's mayor urging for resources to keep people from revolving through the state's criminal justice system.
This money needs to be matched with clear changes in the law in ways that we have never considered before. There needs to be a legal right to housing and a legal right to mental health treatment for people in California.
While the state's Democratic-led legislature and governor weigh all of the options, the push continues to toughen up the state's gun laws. But some Republicans say that's not working, especially with investigators now saying gang violence was at the center of Sunday's tragedy.
In your 17 Court Watch this morning, we continue to follow the trial in the case against Matthew Queen, the suspect who faces 35 charges, among them the torture and murder of Michael Holzenbake, part of a group who became known as the Bakersfield Three. Witness Caleb Sealer took the stand on Tuesday, testifying that he and Queen fabricated guns together. At one point, Sealer said he took a gun part, believing it was his own. It wasn't, he said, and Queen was not happy to find him missing. Later, believing the incident had blown over, Sealer testified that he went to Queen's home, where Queen told him to go into the garage. Once there, Sealer said on the stand that Queen zip-tied his arms to a chair and placed a dog shock collar around his neck. Then he shocked him. Yesterday, Joseph Diagiacomo testified, admitting he went into the home of Sealer in order to wake him up so that Queen could question him. During his testimony, DiGiacomo said Sealer entered his truck willingly and he would have let him out if he asked. He denied participating in a kidnapping. You can read much more about this yesterday's witness examination on our website, kget.com.
A man accused of killing a woman 10 years ago pled not guilty in court yesterday. Jose William Lara was arrested last month after informants led investigators to the remains of Desiree Thompson, a woman originally reported missing in 2012. Court documents say the informants told California City Police Department officers that Lara had been talking about in detail how he killed a woman with the same description as Thompson and buried her in the backyard of the home he had been renting at the time in California City. During a search warrant, police located human remains in the backyard and what appeared to be blood on a bedroom floor in the residence, both of which are believed to belong to Thompson. Lara's due back in court May 5th.
From our follow-up file this morning, the search for a boy who was swept away in the Kern River over the weekend has now turned into a recovery operation. The sheriff's office has confirmed they no longer expect to find the boy alive. Officials say a group of kids were in the water Saturday afternoon near the Hogeye Gulch area in Keysville when one of the boys slipped and fell in and was swept away. An adult supervising the kids tried to go after the boy, but later needed to be rescued himself. The sheriff's office says the boy's family was not from Kern County.
As the mercury begins to rise, officials are stressing the importance of water safety. Public health advocates yesterday shared more about their Water Watchers program and basic water safety tips. Kern County Water Watchers reports about 5 drownings every year. 3/4 of those drownings involved a child under 2, and over half happened in a pool. Unsurprisingly, more than 80% of the incidents took place due to a lack of supervision.
So there's not a magic number of the number of adults that you should have watching the number of children swimming, but you want to make sure that it is a safe environment. So the more people that know how to swim and that can rescue children if they are swimming, the better. And then making sure that somebody has devoted their attention to those children while they're swimming is so important.
An individual 14.
Some safety tips for you. Keep pool gates locked at all times when not supervising. Always keep an eye on children, even if they know how to swim, and learn how to perform CPR. More safety tips and details on how to become a water watcher can be found on our website, kget.com.
A Bakersfield man is struggling to get back on his feet after a deadly fire destroyed his neighbor's home and then spread to his. The fire started inside the home on Minetta Avenue near North Chester just after midnight, April 1st. Next door to 57-year-old Robert Marin, who'd lived there for almost a decade. He and his sons got out safely. So did his daughter Sherry, who lives next door with her kids. But their other neighbors, who they say they did not get along with, died in the fire.
Because of the drugs that they were doing back here and the people that they were associating with, they would harass us, and they would say racial things to us all the time. So we kept our distance from them. We didn't bother them, and we didn't want them to bother us. No, they were not nice people to us, but they were still people.
Robert and Sherry's homes had wood walls, perfect for catching and spreading the fire. But the home where it all started was made with bricks. But cluttered objects throughout the house worked as fuel for the flames.
The fire officials told us that she was in there, smoking or doing drugs, and that she had passed out on the bed with something lit in her hands.
This is the first deadly fire this year in Kern County. Last year, 10 people lost their lives in fires in our area. Robert says all of his possessions were destroyed. The family has created a GoFundMe. You can find a link on our website, kget.com.
Meantime, the owner of the Hart Hotel in downtown Bakersfield said he hopes the building will reopen sooner rather than later. 30 people were displaced after a fire tore through the building early Tuesday morning. The owner says the fire and water damage is not as bad as they originally thought, adding he's grateful no one was hurt in the blaze.
Education news now, and congratulations are in order for Bakersfield and Centennial High School students for placing second in a national competition in New York City. BHS's business plan team, Visionary, placed second in the business plan competition championship. And students from Centennial's marketing and finance team got second in the marketing and finance finals. Centennial and Ridgeview's teams also made the top 8 in the business plan competition, but final results will not come out until later today. So congratulations to them.
For all of them, for making it that far. What a cool experience to go to New York City as a high school student, present your business plan. It's a really fantastic opportunity.
And again, presenting the business plan to real business people.
Exactly.
And so this just shows you, although this was an assignment, if you will, they're ready to go right into the business world.
Absolutely.
After graduation.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.